2005. The Black Eyed Peas were slowly making modern music unlistenable, they bucked the trend of calling it the Super Bowl 48, and the American animation industry was Madagascar was a noticeable step down from Shrek 2, Pixar was gearing up to make Cars, which, no, not Cars, and Aardman was making such delightful stop-motion animation that God thanked them with a warehouse fire. The nadir of this year of animation, however, was Disney's offering in October. See, they'd been having a bit of a fucky-wucky with their 2D animation, with creatively fulfilling financial failures like Treasure Planet, financially successful yet unremarkable projects like Brother Bear, and the neither of those things home on the range, Disney decided they had enough of drawing and got to modeling. Seeing as Pixar was arguably having their best run of films ever during the time that Disney Magic was losing its luster, they shifted over to 3D animation, and it only took them about 6 years to get good at it. The maiden voyage of this endeavor was Chicken Little, a bent toenail of a film. Was it successful? Was it Was it good? It was successful, and with that success came a game adaptation. Chicken Little was released on PC, Xbox, PS2, and GameCube. I remember seeing trailers for this game online, and going back, it's funny to see how many beta assets were still in it by the time of the trailer. Mostly UI things, but even a few cut levels. Of course, I know a few of you are ready with your pencils and notepads to take note about Chicken Little development lore, but we're taking long enough, let's just get into this. So as the game starts, you have the option to select difficulty, and despite what me playing Chicken Little on GameCube would imply, I still have my pride and will be playing on hard. First thing we get is, oh boy, legit Disney animation and copyright music, be still my editing heart! So the plot of this game follows the plot of the movie, so let's just, Yep. After that, we get a loading screen with just so much to take in. First, they replaced loading with hatching like they think they're cute or something. This implies some grotesque chicken creature is giving birth to every level in real time. Second off, the whole thing is just Chicken Little dancing in a black void like he's desperately trying to get your approval. I will say though that him slapping his asshole is an incredibly good metronome. So the game starts and the first thing you notice is how Chicken Little controls. I can't describe how he controls badly, he just does. The best way I can describe it is that he controls like a broken RC car. His turn radius is massive, but it's also super tight. You know video games, right? How when you push left or right, the character goes left or right? Even in other 3D platformers from before this game, the turn radius is wide, but it's also loose so that you still have control. If left to his own devices, Chicken Little will just Tokyo drift forever. On top of that, his jump is pathetic, so this game really makes you feel like a runt. Anywho, the first level is standard fare. You learn your jump, your attack, shimmy up some poles, and swing a yo-yo. After that, you get dumped into an area and get told to collect some coins. Simple enough, and since I picked hard, it won't let me get past until I collect all of them. Difficulty just lowers the amount of stuff you need to collect, so it's less difficulty and more busy work. After you collect everything, you get to blast through a quick flying section, which is actually a little fun. Then you get to the hallway of the school and suddenly the game is Temple Run. This is another section with bad controls. In games like Temple Run or modern Sonic games, you switch to different lanes almost instantaneously. Whereas here, it takes a second to actually switch. So in a level that requires pinpoint accuracy, you constantly have to think 1 second ahead to the future to make sure you get there safely. You may also notice that there are these floating cards throughout the levels, and these are the game's only real collectible. But collect baseball cards. You know, Chicken Little's abusive father? The only thing they do is unlock minigames for the multiplayer, and this is all based on the assumption that if you were to own Chicken Little on PS2, you'd have the guts to admit it to your friends. So once you make it to the end of the section, the game throws another curveball at you, and now you're playing dodgeball. At first, I kinda liked it. I swear there was a Flash game on Cartoon Network that controlled the exact same way. You have a quick dodge, throwing is snappy and quick, but then I found out there's no invincibility between hits so you can get combo shot by Foxy Loxy and my milk curdled. After that section is something familiar to the first level since you have full control of Chicken Little for what that's worth, and you have to run away from Foxy's goose friend. And let me tell you something, if I could ask for one thing, it would be the hour of my life that this part stole from me back. I'm not kidding, this section is so frustrating that it took me an hour to get past. This might be a difficulty thing, but holy hell, this is Winnie the Pooh Home Run Derby levels of difficulty spiking. So you're running towards the camera, like a Crash Chase level, right? You know how the fruit in those levels is meant to act as a way to keep you on the right track? Well, not this time! There is an optimal path for this part, but oftentimes it's not where the acorns lead you. But you need the acorns because you need to keep your health up, thanks to Lucy Goosey having trained for 30 years in the US military to become a top-ranked sniper! This goose takes into account the wind speed, curvature of the earth, if Jupiter is in f***ing retrograde before taking a shot, and she will hit you. She always hits you. Your only chance to dodge is with a sudden de-elevation, but even then it doesn't always work. Not just that, but the ball hits you forward, so if you get hit while running at an angle, you'll get knocked into the wall and she'll get you anyway. There are water hazards to trip you up, students to slow you down, it's a pain to get through. The only way my run actually worked was when the AI just decided to miss for no reason. There There is no tech to this stage. There is no strategy. There is only brute force. And while you're doing this, you have to listen to the worst sound that any human has ever made.
Enough of the wild goose chase! I don't like wild goose chases! Goosey, look, rain pellets!
So yeah, that last segment might have been split pants, but I'm sure the game will only get better, right? After that, there's another short collectathon level where we gotta get our baseball gear, because the only way Chicken Little can win his dad's love is to become the only thing that he cares about. Himself. After that is a new gameplay style. Jesus Christmas. That's a rhythm game. Gotta hit the buttons as they come over center plate. For some reason, they make you practice this 3 times despite only having to hit it once in the actual segment. I swear though, my hand-eye coordination must be off or something, because I keep messing up the final part. I know I mapped my keys a little weird, but I mean the buttons on the game cue. I'm not emulating this game, I swear. I would never emulate you, Chicken Little on PS2. GameCube. After that, though, is when the movie just decides to forget about everything going on and make it about aliens. And we've got another new gameplay style. Oh yeah, that's what was at the top of my Christmas list. Now you control a car and have to drive to Chicken Little's house. This car, how is it that it controls even worse than everything else? This thing slips and slides all over the place. It's got a brake to help you make tight turns, but sometimes it stops on a dime and other times it just decides to kill all 3 people in the car. Which I support, of course. They keep talking about how they need to get to Chicken Little's house, but they keep coming up with reasons to not go.
Abby, I'm hungry.
What? You've got to deliver surfboards? Oh, really? I guess we'd better do it then. Oh no! What now?
I forgot to do my paper route.
We gotta deliver these papers, there's only so many! So eventually, after dicking around enough, the group gets to Chicken Little's house and Fish,
the worst one,
flies off on the piece of the sky that fell. I never thought I'd say this, but I am so happy to be controlling regular Chicken Little again. This level gives you a powered-up yo-yo swing that can break stuff, and it's quick hop, skip, and a jump to the next level. Gotta make sure we keep grabbing these Buck Cluck cards, because he's gonna be meta and abusive dad Yu-Gi-Oh, and I wanna have a playset ready. Okay, listen. You look pretty smart. I mean, you got that thing on your face. It doesn't matter. What do you think the next level of Chicken Little on the PS2 looks like? That's right, we're in Star Fox now, but like a bad Star Fox. So we're just in Star Fox. To get into the ship, you gotta pass a flight test, and that involves pressing the A button as often as possible because it makes you go faster, and the game wants to be done with this part just as quickly as I do. Everything in this level moves so fast, and you shoot so slow without a power-up or mashing the button, so you gotta keep moving. But you smash into stuff because there's floating stuff all throughout the level. Wide open spaces. What are those? Those don't exist in, space. You may have noticed that we've gone through a few different gameplay styles by this point, and that's probably the biggest problem with this game. Instead of making one game and making it pretty good, not Mario good, just Sonic good, they decided to throw everything at the wall to see what sticks, but instead they just knocked the wall down. So once you finish, everyone gets separated to have their own fun and unique levels because of course they do! First up is Ducky Lucky or whatever the f*** her name is, and well, this is weird, but she actually controls well. Compared to Chicken Little, she's more precise, has a better walk speed, and her jump actually feels like a jump. She even has a nifty little hover. I actually really like this part. I sure hope it doesn't— Motherfuck! Hope you weren't enjoying the last part, because it's time to do a mech level! And this mech controls the worst. The absolute worst. So first off, it's slow. It's really slow. It wouldn't be so bad, but the enemies are not slow. They shoot super fast, so mix fast bullets with a slow mech, and you get a recipe for I don't want to do this anymore. But on top of that, your turning speed is oddly rigid in how you can aim. So instead of quick and fluidly snapping to the next target, you have to fidget back and forth to try to hit the small targets. You have a charge shot, but it's practically worthless since you're locked in place except for turning, and you'll just be a damage sponge for a target you might not even hit. And the best part is that this level, above all others, is stingy with checkpoints. You lose anywhere and you get sent back so far. So yeah, not my favorite. And now instead of a new gameplay style, we actually revisit an old one. And it's the auto runner from the hallways. Yeah, this is basically the last segment except with laser traps that are a lot harder to dodge than they look, an even faster pace, and doors that require missiles to open, which makes me wonder how you're supposed to get around this place as an alien. And you thought the last level was stingy with checkpoints? How about no checkpoints? You gotta do the whole thing, one run, perfectly. Otherwise, it's back to the start. This game is really cruel sometimes, you know? Then we finally get back to Chicken Little, and I am kissing the ground he walks on after everything I've been put through. You go, you little race car! This level is just more of the standard platforming. There are some platforms that are supposed to change in rhythm from safe to deadly, but it doesn't always sync up and I have lost my ability to trust as a result. There are some battle arenas where you get the slingshot power-up, which is super unfun to use because it locks you into place and forces you to stay in view until the acorn reaches its target. Why is there a slingshot in a random room on the spaceship? Why are we collecting acorns when Chicken Little can shoot them with an endless supply? Questions for minds greater than I, who voluntarily played Chicken Little on the PS2. This section with the switches and disappearing platforms is probably the most fun platforming in the game. You hear that? It's all downhill from here. The level ends off with this weird turret section. You have to use the cannon to shoot the robots down, but it works better in groups since it arcs from one to another. The cannon is great with horizontal and vertical movements, but trying to move up and right at the same time, and it suddenly moves at a snail's pace. This section is interesting at least, but it's so slow to control that all the fun just drains out. After that is, oh god, yes! Another space segment! That's the Chicken Little on PS2 I know and f***ing hate! This one's top down, and even worse than the last one. These big boss ships fire non-stop, but can be taken out pretty easily with the missiles, but that's also while you're trying to dodge the other ships that are coming to kamikaze themselves. But how do they reward you after getting through that last level? Another new gameplay style! You get to play as fish out of water, skating around a tube, dodging all sorts of hazards like electricity and fan blades while trying to stay on the track. Hey, remember when there was a baseball level? The controls here are extremely slippery. You're moving all around the place and not being able to stop on a dime means that you're gonna careen into hazards way too often. The weirdest thing though is how you can see the track through the track. On the one hand, it gives you an idea of what comes next. On the other hand, it makes me ill. Then they make you attack with these big bubbles and the screen gets so crowded. I think I want off this ride. So after an extended movie clip, we move on to another Chicken Little platforming level. It's only been 2 stages since the last one, yet I feel like it's been a decade. But this level is all about stealth. Now, I'm a bit of a stealth fan, so I'm going to be extra critical here. Well, it's no auto runner, but it'll do just fine. It's actually a little fun to duck and dodge between searchlights up until the exact point when you find out there's a literal second delay between shots and get wombo combo. After you gather all your worthless friends, they run off and get lost in a hedge maze, somehow behind paths that are blocked off, but they still have fully shorn hedge mazes behind them. Duck and pig are easy enough to find since their definition of a maze is turning. But fish makes you go through a whole maze to find him. More complex than anything on Chicken Little on PS2 deserves. But once you have them all gathered together, the gang decides to alert the town by ringing the bell.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Now we're back to collecting more coins. How is it that this game manages to throw all these different gameplay styles at you and still manage to be boring as sin? You can have all the variety in the world, but if it sucks to play, then it will suck to play. Is this game a good platformer, a good space shooter, a good runner, a good mech game? Guess what the answer is? Knee! No! Yes! Huh? Oh yeah, there's also a flying section so brief that by the time I finish this sentence, it's just as likely to be done as it is to not be. So you blast up the bell tower and we take a large leap in terms of film, seeing as we cut out everything between the aliens running away without their child and the aliens coming back. We're then thrust into a sort of new, sort of old gameplay style because if this game couldn't get any better, it's got a dedicated turret section. Here you play as Mayor Turkey Lurkey. Oh, you know Mayor Turkey Lurkey, one of the only characters in the game whose actor didn't reprise their role. Probably because Don Knotts didn't want to waste his few precious breaths he had left on this beautiful planet in a booth saying, "This is an election year!" This section is, well, it's just a turret section. What do you expect? The cannon is slow, it's not very accurate, and for some reason the charge shot doesn't have a lot of get up and go to it. It literally just deletes whatever's in the crosshairs. I don't even think it bothers with the projectile. This segment is incredibly short, probably the shortest segment in the whole game, and that automatically makes it the best one because it has a decency to get out quickly. The same can't be said for the next part. In order to get onto the ship, you've got to drive through the same level you drove through in the last driving mission, except this one goes on for, I think, my entire life. There are hazards all over the road that only pop up when you get near them, like craters and telephone poles, and the already slippery car controls. And just like so many other parts of the game, there are so few checkpoints, I begin to wonder if the game has a grudge. This game demands satisfaction and will accept no less. After that, you finally get onto the spaceship, and the gang gets separated again, and oh, we do another tube level like the fish one a while back! Except this one... Oh my god, it's even worse than the last one. Run speed is crazy in this. He's going way too fast, and as a result, you can't see behind corners for what's coming next. You can't get out of the way of all the stuff flying at you, and the obstacles are constantly rotating, so while you're slipping all over the tube, the fans and sparks are moving to meet you. Then sometimes the roly-poly just falls off the track for no reason. This didn't take me quite as long as the
Wild goose chases!
but boy was it just as frustrating. But my Stockholm Syndrome has finally gotten me to a point where we're back at a Chicken Little level. Praise the Lord, the chicken is good. I want you to all raise your hands to the sky and praise the Chicken Little motherfucker. Worst gameplay style is back and with a vengeance. This level puts a lot more emphasis on the tracker beam your mech has, making you pick up crates and enemies. Keep in mind that while picking up stuff, you're totally locked out of firing your weapon, as it just fires whatever you're holding. This segment, though, is the game's worst gauntlet. You get one checkpoint between equally long parts with waves of enemies in cheap locations that you can only see with Ultra Instinct. Each run back through even half of these courses is 5 minutes. It will take you so much time, and compounding the rest of the problems with the gameplay style, I'd say it's the worst level in the whole game. We finally get back to the Chicken Little levels, but something's off. It might have something to do with the fact that this is an exact copy and paste of the last Chicken Little spaceship level. I'm not kidding. Portions of the level have been hacked up and sprinkled throughout this one. The battery section is back too, except this time it has these grappling dealies, and oh man, let's talk about these. So throughout the whole game, these grapple icons require you to jump and press B. Simple enough, works every time. Not here. This level makes you dread every single one of these, since on occasion the game will just say no can do, and you fall to your death. It even copies the turret section at the end, but they save all their creativity for that end, where you have to collect coins in an anti-gravity chamber. At first, jumping and floating around is actually pretty fun, but then you realize that you fall just as fast as you jump, and my milk curdles. Hey listen, bub, you want an original line, you make an original level. And tragically, because of how much this level already copies and pastes, there's another flying section. This is the third time we've done this, but luckily it's one with a boost button, so we can just rocket right to the end for the boss fight against this big mothership. I can't lie here, I actually enjoyed this fight a little bit. For starters, the checkpoint is right before the boss, so you don't have to wade through molasses to get to this part like the other levels. The boss comes in 4 phases, the first 3 pitting you against a different weapon type with a weak spot, before the final part throws all 3 weapons at you at once. It's a cool idea, but it's let down by the needlessly long transitions between phases. I could do my taxes in the time it takes this game to get to the point. But overall, for how little it's worth, this is the best spaceship level. And here we are, the final boss, titled... well, at least they made it easy to find. It starts with the last flying level of the game, and it's actually pretty fun. You're zipping through destroyed buildings, you have to duck through windows. Sure, it's still Chicken Little on the PS2, but I enjoyed it well enough. Then the final boss fight starts up. You're supposed to dodge the laser shots, and once the robot's on a cooldown, you fire your slingshot at the buttons on his side. Then it is Jesus Christ, censor that! Smack that thing a few times and he'll retreat to the next level, then you gotta climb up to meet him. Each time it escapes, the buttons you need to shoot will rotate faster, to the point that you can barely have enough time to shoot them with your miserably slow slingshot. Then, on the final level, it will suddenly swap out its regular blast for a massive sweeping beat. But a couple of tries later, and the game was done and dusted. Totally completed. And we're on to the credits. I guess they're showing us a cutscene of all our friends dying, which I totally endorse. Let me just take a big sip of water and... What? No! No! That's not how this works! You said final boss! That means final! Last! No more! So, for some reason, the game is doing an encore act after being booed off stage, with a driving stage no less! However, unlike the rest in the game, it's set on a track, so it's much more like a standard driving stage than the other ones in the game. Cool, whatever, we fall to our deaths, and now the game is over! Great! I booked my holiday for the end of Chicken Little on the PS2, so let's just sit back and watch the credits. Oh, hey look, they got Adam West for the final cutscene. That's nice. Hey, why does the credit sequence look like a new level? This game doesn't have an end. It will never end. It's developed in real time. We have another final level. You aren't allowed 3 final levels! This stage is probably the best stage in the game since they actually did get Adam West to voice the movie version of Chicken Little. In fact, he even comes back to voice him in the sequel to this game, Ace in Action. If you want me to talk about it, let me know in the comment section below. Or better yet, don't. As for this level though, like one last handful of salt into the eyes, this level ends with a firing squad mere millimeters from the finish line, and then throws you all the way back at the beginning like a sack of manure. After you finally finish this, you get one f***ing weird looking cutscene and the game just ends. Game's bad.